Texting. We are back in a very frigid. We're wearing coats, boys and girls. This is the dedication. Okay, don't question. You can question a lot of things about us. Highly question one, just so you know. But one thing you can't question is the dedication of this show. More importantly, the people that make it what it is.
Well, we know they need us. I mean, think of the.
Where else can you just turn to them and go? Well, my life isn't that bad. It's a fair question.
I mean, inspiring citizens around the world. I'm sorry.
It's a fair question. I'm just saying.
Hey, look, inspiration comes in many forms.
It does.
Sometimes it comes in the form of a mess.
Yeah. Blind idiocy is one of them.
It comes in the form of an absolute mess.
Yep. Total shenanigans. just two.
On a fucking Wednesday night.
Two shameless fucking excuses. Hey, we wear that shameless with pride.
Two pieces of gum on your shoe.
Two pimples on the hairiest ass imaginable.
Why did we just open up shit kicking ourselves?
I don't know. It's been that kind of day. Anyway, that is the redoubtable one. Thomas J. is the highly questionable one. RJ Miliaccio, segment 1. Hey, we are less than 24 hours away from the college football Final Four.
Yeah,
and both of these games look awesome, and I think they're both going to be awesome. And there's a lot. Here's the other cool thing about this: these four programs all of them have a lot of history. All of them. Trust me. Go back and look at Texas's past. Go back and look at Ohio State. Go look at Penn State and Notre Dame. They all four of these.
You know about Penn State's history.
Well, but still, there's championships in there too. On the field, they could play. You can't deny that. Off the field, slime balls in a sea of puss. I get it. Okay, but they could play. So the thing is this: all four of these. This is the other thing. I mean, I'm looking at the spreads. Notre Dame is 1.5. That's about right. Neutral
Where's
site,
that game?
It's in the Orange Bowl. So they're both flying to Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night. And the other one's the Cotton Bowl, which I still say is an unfair advantage for Texas.
The game's in Texas?
It's in the Cotton Bowl is in Texas, Jerry World.
Oh shit! It's in Dallas. That's right.
It's Jerry's World. I'd call that an advantage. Anyway,
a little bit.
Look, a little bit. But that aside, and that's not University of Texas' fault. They had nothing to do with that. But anyway, the point is, look, all four of these teams could win this thing. Meaning the whole thing. All four of these teams left are good enough to win the national. I don't know how many times I've said that in a Final Four, but in any sport. But this case, at least right now, these four are capable, and they wouldn't need a pig's prayer to do it. Just play their A game.
A pig's prayer.
Yeah, they wouldn't need some freaky thing to go wrong. I mean, Penn State has a great advantage over the other two because they've actually seen Ohio State. And it's always harder, as he will tell you, it's always hard to beat a good team twice in the same season.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you that.
Yes, you will. So,
where the fuck did my other glove go?
I do not know. One glove missing?
I mean, this is the Rockies.
Is it underneath there? On the floor? The man's losing it. Man's losing it, people.
Fuck, what did I do?
Show wasn't 3 minutes old. Man's losing it.
Dude, it's got to be here.
Losing it. Found his cigars all right, though.
Well, I had one in my pocket.
Did you? One cigar or one?
Yeah, one cigar.
Okay. What we got me perturbed. Where the fuck? How do you lose?
I have no clue where this bitch went.
It's not in there. Wait, what's this?
How the fuck?
God, your hands are small. What?
No, these are my kids' gloves.
Well, if they're fitting you, how's that possible?
Well, I mean, they stretch.
They do. I hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so look, these are going to be two very good
Call me
games.
Trump small hands.
I didn't say that. I didn't say Trump either. Look, we'll save that loser for another day, and God knows he's already doing everything I thought he would do, and even worse. But anyway, the point is, look, all four of these teams are capable. The first game is tomorrow night, Notre Dame, Penn State. That's Brian versus me. I don't know, Brian. Is one of us going to get to coach this team? I don't know. But Penn State's played great. They've handled SMU, who I thought was a good team, pretty easily. And Boise State, who had a very powerful offense. Penn State's defense showed up. Here's the other thing. All four of these defenses, statistically anyway, are ranked in the top 10 in the nation. That's no accident. Okay, think about what I just said.
It is by design.
All four teams left are elite defenses. If you're in the top 10 in Division I football, there's a lot. You're an elite defense. Okay, so that won't be a problem. Now here's the question: of the four, who's got the worst defense? That's going to be interesting. Interesting to find out.
We got Penn State, Notre Dame,
Ohio State, and Texas. Now, I will say this for those of you, and again,
Texas have the worst defense?
I don't think they do.
They're all good.
They're all good. They're all in the top 10. There isn't a bad one left.
Okay, but who's the fourth-ranked defense, though?
Well, but the problem with that stat is it's done by total yards.
You don't like that?
No, because points allowed is the bottom line.
Scoring defense.
Scoring defense. I don't care if someone gets 400 yards. If they get 10 points, you lost.
Well, that's like those old Pats defenses.
Exactly.
That would bend don't break.
They won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years doing that.
We'll let you do all you want in between the 20s and then fuck you.
You can't, trust me, it was elite. There's been no defense like it. There never has before, there never will be again.
It's annoying as shit.
It's annoying as shit. All of a sudden you kick field goal. Fuck, fuck. And it was everybody. They did to everybody. So when Peyton Manning came in with the Colts in 2003, and he threw 49 touchdown passes a year. The Pats held him to 3 points in the whole game. Okay, you don't do that without Hall of Famers Ty Law and Rodney Harrison. That was in your secondary. When people go back and look at these Pats defenses, they're going to realize how great they really were.
Yeah.
So the point is, if you go by points, or if you go by yardage, I believe it's Texas is 1, Ohio State is 4. Notre Dame is 6 and Penn State is 8. But if you go by points, then it's Notre Dame, Penn State, believe it or not, Texas, and Ohio State. So, and I get the yardage thing because I'm not saying that doesn't count. It does count. But points are the bottom line. That's
don't they have a total defense stat?
I don't know if it's not like a QPR.
They kind of like include.
It's not.
I feel like they should.
I would, because I don't think you can base a defense off one's attack.
You got it. It's a.
And because then there's also
what's your pass defense? What's your rush?
Yeah,
defense?
there's also turnovers.
Right.
Forced.
Yeah.
And by the way,
sacks is another
sacks,
one.
I'm saying,
Tackles for loss.
but these defenses force a lot of turnovers too.
Pass defenses.
They get after the quarterback. All 4 of these defenses, I don't think are getting their just due here. But I think of the 4 of them, the best one I've seen personally is Notre Dame. Now here's why I say that. Texas has 2 losses this year. They are both to Georgia. Okay? In both those games, the Georgia quarterbacks threw exactly 0 touchdown passes. They won 30-15 and 29. The Georgia quarterbacks, and I say quarterbacks because they all had their crack at these guys, including Beck, who played in the first game. He started. He threw 3 picks.
Against who?
Texas. And they still beat them because they ran the ball down Texas. Georgia beat Texas.
Oh, okay.
I said that when we started this conversation, I said Texas has 2 losses all year. It's the same team. The team that Notre Dame just beat. Okay? And Georgia quarterbacks did nothing in those games. In fact, they were bad. And they still beat Texas twice.
Yeah.
So that tells me, okay, that Notre Dame's defense is a little bit better than Texas, which gave up the fewest amount of points. Because Georgia couldn't get 10, and that quarterback didn't have a turnover.
So Notre Dame, point-wise, was 3rd?
2nd.
Oh, so I thought you said Penn State was 2nd.
No, I'm sorry. Penn State was 2nd. Notre Dame was 3rd. Ohio State was 4th.
Okay. All right, so it'll be a good match.
Actually, I'm sorry. In terms of points allowed, it was Texas, Notre Dame. I'm sorry. No, it was Notre Dame among the 4 teams. They weren't number 1. Georgia was number 1 in points allowed. In points allowed, Notre Dame was 2.
That's right. Okay.
Penn State was like 5. Texas was 6, and Ohio State was 8. All right.
Okay.
So they're elite in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make this so compelling because at some point, and the thing is, all 4 of these offenses are great too, in different way. They have different, like Penn State, Notre Dame is going to be in the rock fight because they both like to run the ball. And apparently Notre Dame, that running back Love, he's going to play tomorrow night. He's a go. So they're going to have their full arsenal of running backs.
I so badly want to say something about this Nick game.
What are they out?
They're up by 23, and he's got Brunson, Hart, OG, Mikal Bridges. Like, what are you doing? You're going to lose a 25-point lead to Toronto?
Not in 2 minutes and 27 seconds.
Thank God. Like, finally.
Is that accurate? Yeah. I think we can stop bitching about that. He just took them out.
Well, I could have done it 3 minutes ago.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
As you can tell, that was very important.
I was trying to hold it in. I really was.
So first one is Notre Dame, Penn State. Look, they have met, I think it's 19 times. You ready for this? They are 9-1. So it doesn't get much more even.
Somebody's going to take the
someone's
series.
Going to take the L here. Notre Dame did something the other day. It wasn't just about that they beat Georgia. It was the way they beat them. They beat them in a way I didn't think they could.
Senseless?
No, out-coached them. I knew they could hit with them. It was in terms of physicality, that was an even match. But this guy for Notre Dame did something I didn't know he had in him. He out-coached Kirby Smart, and it wasn't close. It wasn't close. I mean, it looked like a pro coach going against a Pop Warner volunteer dad.
Oh, jeez, Brooke Lopez just got yammed.
Is what it kind of looked like. Don't care about Brooke right now. Focus on the playoffs.
I'm sorry, dude.
Okay. So my question to you is this. Okay.
Question.
I know, because I'm going to keep it broad. You have despised Notre Dame. I mean,
the frauding Irish is my affectionate
name. The venom, the mucus, the whatever is coming out of whenever that name gets mentioned. The smoke from the ears.
No, I'll tell you.
It's crazy.
So look, I don't know where this comes from. I really don't. Because like growing up, I always thought the Leprechaun was really cool. I didn't get a starter jacket, but my parents got me an Apex jacket.
Your dad liked Notre Dame.
No.
Just got you a Notre Dame jacket for no reason.
Well, because I liked the Leprechaun, and it was one of the, like the starter jacket.
Fighting Irish.
The Hornets one was great. Also, the Notre Dame was.
The Hornets one was clutch.
Yeah, and so was the fighting dude. The little lep, he was.
Oh, Notre
sick.
Dame's, I think, got the best of them in college
but
football, among other things.
I think you know who did this to me?
Who?
Charlie Weiss. There's something about that guy.
3 years and
yeah, but
like rides,
But
everything.
for some reason, like when I think of Notre Dame, it's like I see his arrogance.
He never won anything there.
Exactly.
So why
he's an arrogant prick? It was always like this genius fucking Charlie Weiss. And he always
Newt
just seemed
Rodney,
like a
Eric
major
Parsegian, and Lou Holt. You know how Hall of Fame coaches they had?
But I never
Him? He's the one.
I never watched those guys.
You saw Rudy, didn't you?
Yeah, and I thought it was bullshit.
Eric Parsegian, man. He's an Italian. The fuck's your problem?
Well, good for him.
Remember when he said there he is? He's the greatest coach in the country. He just laughed at me. You stupid motherfucker. He'd have you shot right now. Like,
I was watching a clip online about the falsities of Rudy. It made me think of when DJ did that to us for Remember the Time.
Well, Joe Montana was on that team.
Yeah.
People don't realize. And Montana tells it. He's like, look, what happened. Didn't quite happen the way.
You're right. They said everybody hated him. He was a major prick.
Because he played like it was the damn. Actually, they talk about that in the movie. Vince Vaughn is the guy.
Well, the douchebag yells it at him.
Yeah, and he goes, "You suck ass, you brown nose suck ass." And then Parsegian goes, "What's your problem, O'Hara?" This last practice this season, and this asshole actually goes, "Well, you just summed up your entire sorry career in one sentence."
But see, that's not really how it went. No. And nobody came in and said, "Let Rudy play, coach."
No, that didn't happen.
Everybody was like, "Fuck Rudy." But anyway, so for some reason, I have this dislike of Notre Dame, and I don't. It's weird. It just I caught a little whiff of it on Charlie Weiss. Haven't really
there long enough.
I know, dude. I'm telling you, I don't know what it's from, but I can tell you this:
you don't like him.
No, I the more I see him, I don't mind them, and I'm actually, I'm like, all right.
I will say
these guys.
This coach is the opposite of Charlie Weiss.
Exactly.
Personality-wise,
he's also the opposite of Mr. Blanks over there.
Oh, very much so.
Did you hear him talking today?
Yeah, what was that all about?
I don't know.
Like, really? Are we still bitching about this? Hey, by the way,
I agree with them.
No,
but
like,
hold on.
Why are you saying let me tell you something. Here's why he's wrong, and here's why Notre Dame didn't do this. And we talked about money. Let me explain the money. There's a kitty that all the teams that participated in, the 12 teams, got from. Okay, they gave all the teams a combined total of $14 million, which means every team got over $1 million just for making the tournament. Okay. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal.
What Notre Dame?
Notre Dame got $14 million for themselves because they're not in a conference. So that's why, at the end of the day, Notre Dame isn't joining anybody. And let me think about what I just said to you. They'd have got $1.2 million had they been in a conference versus $14 million because they're independent.
But do you
What would you do?
So money-wise, yes. Of
What
course,
would you do?
get it.
Okay, and by the way, they're Notre Dame. They still play tough schedule. They still, in fact, if anything, here's the cool thing about being an independent: you can really set your schedule and get enough tough opponents like Notre Dame did. They beat 5 ranked teams. They play ACC. They play Big Ten. 2 powerhouse conferences. Okay, they don't fudge it. They went down to the SEC. They went down. They did. They beat A&M down there. They were the one. Here's the beautiful part about this is right before Notre Dame played that game, they do, because preseason college do all these polls and things like this. So they polled all of the coaches, where's the hardest place to play in America? And they all said College Station, Texas A&M. Notre Dame goes down, their first game beats them. First game of the season. Right after that came out.
Is that like Providence in college basketball?
Texas A&M? No, they're a little bit better than them.
No, remember we were watching that game and the guy was like, "This is the toughest venue in college basketball."
That was, I don't know where he got that from, but ESPN had the poll, and they interviewed, like Nick Saban said it, and a couple other big time coaches said that place. And then and it wasn't just SEC teams that said it; it was other Clemson. Dabo Swinney said it. So I mean, there's a big name.
Dabo said it.
Well, he's got 2 national championships the last 10 years. I'd say that qualifies.
Dabby.
Old Dabby.
Old Dabby Doo.
Old Dabby Doo.
Old Yabba Dabby Doo.
Yabba Dabba Dabby Doo. Anyway,
Yabba
so
dabba
the point
doo.
is, Notre Dame has been on this ascension, and they got Indiana. Everyone says Indiana didn't belong. I agree. Further fodder for the Big Ten, the mediocre 18 as I call them. But Georgia is no joke. And the fact that Georgia went into Texas and beat them when they're starting quarterback through 3 picks, the guy that didn't play against Notre Dame, okay, tells you that Georgia is no joke. That tells you how good Notre Dame really is. And if I'm Penn State, here's the problem. Everybody knows the most physical team in the country is Georgia. They out-physical them. So if you're left in this tournament and you have to go through them to win, good luck. Because they're going to beat you up. They're going to beat you up for 4 quarters. They play man football. That's why everybody was afraid of Georgia. Georgia plays like Alabama used to. Like they man up, we're going to kick your ass. We're going to tell you how we're going to do it. Doesn't matter. We're going to run you over. And that's how Alabama did it when Saban was there, and that's how Georgia has been doing it. And Georgia got to taste their own medicine. Kirby Smart was so flustered that, do you know what he said after that game?
No.
He said, this is the reason why we need to go back to 4 teams.
No way.
Yeah, he said that. And they were like, why? Because you lost.
Take your team out of it.
Yeah.
Dude, shut your fucking door.
I mean, seriously. So that's what Kirby Smart said. That's how flustered he was about it, okay? And by the way, Notre Dame didn't play a perfect game. Notre Dame had 10 penalties. This is how physical this game was. Notre Dame had 10 penalties. Georgia had 7.
So he's saying Notre Dame shouldn't have been in it?
I don't know if he said Notre Dame, but he said this is why we need to go back to 4 teams, implying that there was just too many chances. By the way, that was Georgia's first game of the tournament. They hadn't played yet. So I don't know where he's going with that,
Right.
but it doesn't sound right.
So you think you should have just been in the Final Four?
Maybe that's what I guess what he's saying.
You got beat before you got there, buddy.
Yeah. So, and by the way, you were basically playing in your neck of the woods. They came down to you. Remember, you didn't go play in the in the Rose Bowl or the freaking Cotton Bowl or the Florida Citrus Bowl or even the one the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl out in Arizona. There, you didn't go there either. So don't give me that crap. You're in the Sugar Bowl. Shut up. That's your backyard.
So I'll tell you this. Now I know both of these schools kind of represent a bit of a history of molesting. Not that it happened at Notre Dame, but they kind of represent like the Catholic Church. It feels like,
Holy Cross wouldn't though.
Yes, it would.
More so.
Yeah, of course.
More so.
I don't like Holy Cross.
You shouldn't. Although Bobby Cousy did win them their only national title. That's true.
But I'm saying, you know,
before the molesting.
But then before the molesting.
Maybe.
But then, the whole Joe Paterno, Terry Sandusky thing, or Jerry Sandusky, whatever it was.
That is a dark.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the Catholic Church one is worse. It's big. It's on a much bigger scale. But that what was going on at Penn State was awful. So I'm going for the old Irish in this one.
Oh, this is so wait, and this is who do I hate more?
Without a doubt. But I'm telling you, I've come around on Notre Dame because you told me, you said, look, I'll take everything you're saying about them, but not this year. This is a different team this year. Well, their defense is. You've been saying they have one of the best defenses.
Truth be told, they were close last year. what their quarterback cost. This team, this quarterback went at the thing about this kid too is he went right at Georgia.
Yeah,
that's the biggest, most physical defense in America. The kid didn't flinch. I mean, the kid's like, all right, come on, bring it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was impressive. I don't care. You don't have to like Notre Dame. Like, I don't like Buffalo, but I've seen Josh Allen nut up against some pretty elite defenses, and you have to respect that.
You know, that's quite the performance.
Yeah. That's why that's what Joe Burrow this year, to me, should be the MVP. He's not going to win it, but he should be, given what the fuck he went through. To put up the numbers he put up, and he was missing one of his top targets most of the season. His defense continually failed him. The fact that they were still in it, and if somebody had lost, they had got in, is a miracle, given how they got fucked. They fired the defensive coordinator, by the way. As they should have.
That was a no-brainer.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer. He needed to go. I mean,
even though
think about that.
People used to speak so highly of Lou Amarillo or whatever his name is.
Well, I don't know. No one said to me that team was decimated by injury. I kept hearing that about Cleveland on both sides of the ball. But
Cleveland had it bad.
Yeah, but not so much Cincinnati. Cincinnati was more T. Higgins and a couple, but not the defense. I don't want to hear that. So, and the bottom line is, if your offense is giving you over 30 points a game, you got to help them out.
You got to scheme it.
You got to do something. You got to. I mean, you can't.
Because if you can hold people to 24, you win. I mean,
which, by the way, would put you in the bottom 10.
Right, and you could do that through a scheme.
But you could still do it. You're right.
Right.
One less score game.
Exactly.
Just one.
All you got to do, you got to look at your personnel and go,
one less possession a game.
What style of defense could I play with these players to just not make it a fucking 40-point game?
The fact that you couldn't manufacture one, to his point, possession a game like that, that's pathetic. And that's why you get fired.
How many games did they lose scoring over 30?
Over 35.
What, 3?
4. They scored over 30. They scored 35 or more in 4 and lost all 4 of them. Think about that.
You find a way to give up 34 in one of those games, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, think 2. 50% 2. You might. I mean, come on. So look at. But the thing about these college defenses, they don't do that. That's why I'm very excited to see these matchups. I think Penn State and Notre Dame's going to be able to rock fight because they're both power running teams.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
it. Brian wants to go to the bar for that.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to talk about that. Anyway, thing is, and I would go normally, but anyway, thing is, this is going to be a rock fight just like the one last week was. The difference is Penn State hasn't been in a fight like this. Notre Dame already has, and they just took out the bully on the block. And that's why I give Notre Dame the edge, because they went through Georgia, not Boise State. That's a little bit different. I think anyone who just heard what I said will go, yeah, that's kind of not close. With all due respect to Boise State, they ain't Georgia. They ain't fucking close to Georgia. Georgia's won 2 of the last 3 national championships. They ain't Georgia. Okay? And by the way, they got screwed. They could have been in last year and won a third. They didn't get in. They missed it by 1 game. I mean, and they were number 1 most of the year. So that team had Brock Bowers on it. Go look at what he's done in the NFL. Okay, so point is, Notre Dame went through the bully on the block. And if Penn State is going to fight this type of fight, they better understand who they're up against. Okay, so, because if they don't, some other people I've heard bad about Notre Dame, they're in for a surprise. So I've got Notre Dame. It's going to be close, I think. But I've got Notre Dame, and that's going to be a 1-score game. So he's going with Notre Dame because he hates Penn State more. I've heard stranger predictions than that.
And if I'm going to trust anyone's analysis on when I know nothing about a sport, or I don't know nothing about. I know something about college football.
You do.
But it's hard for me because so many of the opponents are different. It's hard for me to judge teams when they don't play like similar teams all the time, the way it is in the NFL, the NBA, baseball.
There's not a lot of common opponents.
Exactly.
Which is what I did when I was talking to Joe. I went through who played who.
Right.
That's what I was saying. Like, you're sleeping on Notre Dame. You shouldn't be.
So I struggle to really think, like, okay, who could beat who? So my point is, whenever I'm in a situation where, I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I'll trust his analysis over any other fucker out there on any sport except baseball.
Hockey too. I don't know hockey as much as.
Yeah, that's true. I know, but I never think about hockey. We never talk about it.
Well, I tried it. You don't want to talk about it. So.
Neither of us.
One day this year we will. Well, the Bruins are about to fire their GM. That'll be news because they fired the coach and the coach wasn't.
But here's the thing about hockey: neither one of us love it.
I love the Bruins. I just don't talk about it because you don't care about hockey.
Well, thank you.
And it's like that's just be an argument that I don't really want to have. So, I mean,
I just wouldn't have anything to say.
Yeah, it's like that's not. I'd rather have something that you're interested in.
But I was trying to pay you a compliment.
Well, I appreciate that.
Because your football and basketball analysis, I'd say 97%.
It's not that high.
No,
I don't think so. I mean, my father.
Right.
Helping your dad gets drafted in the
91%.
NFL. And his best friend played for the Notre Dame and the Patriots. So you hear a lot of things at 10 years old that most kids don't hear.
Look, I'm not saying your predictions are always right. I'm
that
saying
you can't, yeah.
the breakdown, the analysis of why something should happen is usually accurate, the way I see it.
Yeah. Barring some unforeseen.
Right. Sometimes things go haywire. Sometimes, somebody gets hurt, whatever the fuck it might be.
Jackie McMullen, who I have a lot of respect for, is a Hall of Famer, sports writer up in Boston. She's probably Jackie Mack. Wrote a book with helped Larry Bird write his Drive book. She said something once that, and she played basketball too, so her basketball analysis is as good as anybody I've heard, male or female, might I add. And she said something because they asked her to give a prediction on the Celtics last year against the Mavericks. She goes, "Look, you can't make predictions because there's an unforeseen thing that you can't account for. It always happens." And then it was, "What'd you do?" Because you can't foresee things coming. When you're an athlete and you get to a certain level, you know there are things you can control and things you can't.
Yeah.
And as my father used to say to me, focus on the things you can control, and your talent will take care of things you can't. Which made no sense to me when I was 10. When I was 17, it made all the sense in the world. Okay, so, and Jackie Mack understands this as well. So that's why predictions are so hard, because something can happen. And turnovers, you can't predict a turnover. You can't predict when it's going to happen, how it's. I mean, think about some of the wacky ass turnovers that you've seen in your lifetime. In all this, just like how the fuck, like because the ball or the puck or can just bounce a weird way.
Consider it if the defense is opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
It could be something where you say, "Look, this defense is going to get one somehow."
Yeah. Some of it's just the ball, a guy who's a great field kicker, but he's kicking in a 50-mile-an-hour wind. And normally he nails that thing, but he's kicking in a 50-mile-an-hour wind. Now he's trying to kick it in you know how hard that is to do? You know how hard that is to practice?
Nobody's kicking in a 50.
Nobody is. It's like, so this is the thing that Jackie Mack's 100% right. So with predictions, well, I don't really, I love that we do predictions, but whatever happens either way, I don't get to, because
it's just for fun.
Yeah, it's for fun, one, and two, they're things that neither one of us could control or predict. It's impossible. So, but with
it kind of shows based on the picks, because most of the picks I do differently are just like, I feel like this team.
Sometimes it's a feel, and you should be commended for that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not really.
Yeah.
It's not really. I don't know. It feels lucky.
Well, it happens enough times. It's not luck. But the thing is, the reality is, in terms of all sports, there's things you can't control. Mm-hmm. So when it comes, and football is even more different, because you're out in the elements a lot of times.
Yeah.
The football isn't a regular ball. I mean, you ever watch an onside kick and how that thing bounces, or how it gives the way the ball is shaped?
You ever watch a guy trying to pick up a fumble?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's hard as hell. Because it's a football.
Trying to catch a rat.
Yeah, it's not like trying to catch a dodgeball or a fucking. No, it's different. And there's no other ball. Think about this. There's no other ball like it in sports.
Closest thing to it's probably a rolling scrotum.
Rugby, because rugby was football.
I think a rolling scrotum.
A rolling scrotum. I don't know who's trying to pick one of those up.
Made of rubber.
Yeah.
Well, if you think it's
rubber
yours,
scrotum?
If you think it's yours, it's just bouncing.
What the hell is that doing over there?
God damn it, my scrotum!
All right, so we both like Notre Dame.
Balls are on the ground.
Ohio State and Texas. Now look, this is going to be a heavyweight fight. To me, Ohio State is the best team in the Big Ten, mediocre 18 this year. They are. They have been. I thought they should have beaten Oregon the first time. They got lucky.
I bet we just call them the Big Mediocre.
I call them the mediocre 18.
Right, we just call them the Big Mediocre.
Because there's 18 teams in that conference. It's not even the right number.
Instead of the Big 10, it's just the Big Mediocre.
How about the Big 18? Do something. But I mean, make it at least the Big 10. There's 18 teams.
Big Mediocre.
You sound like an idiot. So, but anyway, Ohio State is the best team in that conference, and I believe that Texas, along with I don't know. Georgia and Texas are 1 and 1A. Georgia was the best team. Texas, to me, is the second best team in the SEC. So, because Georgia beat them twice, so you can't deny it. When they beat them in Texas,
Please tell me Texas is going to win this game.
No, Ohio State's going to win. Yeah. But they ain't going to walk these guys over. This is not. This is going to be the game that takes a lot out of Ohio State, because Texas is the one SEC team left, and these ACC teams have this thing called pride. They don't like to hear they're slipping. Okay, Texas is not going to go quietly. And by the way, if they play Manning, this is the thing. If
Why
Manning,
would they play Manning?
I think Manning's better than Nd-Psu. He is.
Are they going to play him?
I think they're going to play him. I don't think they're going to start him, but they're saying at some point he's going to play in this game. And I think they should.
That's big news.
Well, this is the thing. They would be wise to do it because that gives Ohio State more to game plan for. It would be smart to do it. And the kid can play. On top of that.
You come out with him and they're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I mean, and Texas could do that. They're that talented. So this game has, and again, the defenses are going to play a role in it. This has got a classic 27-24, 24-21 kind of feel to it. But I think Ohio State has just a little bit more talent at the skill positions, and they're going to edge it out.
I'm rolling with Texas because of the hate factor.
Fair enough. And again,
because
I said 27-24. I believe it. If Texas wins this game, I will not be surprised. I'm not hedging anything.
Right, they can
totally win this game.
I know what you're saying.
My problem is I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, and that's the unknown. I know what Ohio State's going to do. That's the only thing. I mean,
also the way you look at what Ohio State did last week. I know it wasn't against Texas.
It wasn't. Oregon's defense has been kind of hidden all year because their offense has been so prolific. They got exposed, and they weren't a good defense really all year long. They really weren't. They looked good because they were always playing with a lead.
Yeah. And
it was a big lead most of the time.
Yeah, but I think the fact that Ohio State kind of held that offense down was pretty nice.
Well, they were playing from behind.
Yeah.
And they usually aren't. And when
they jumped out quick.
Yeah, they jumped out on them quick. And again, I think that Creekmore was right about this. I think the 2-week layoff hurt Oregon because they looked a step slow for about a half. They did. Yeah. The second half, they put up 21 points. Yeah. I mean, they were a step slow for 30 minutes.
They were buried by that.
They were buried at that point. It was over. You're one-dimensional now. Yeah. Now they can pin their ears back. So Texas has a much, much, much better defense than Oregon. Yeah, a lot better. And they've got. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised. The one thing, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to switch the pick, but this is the game that's going to come down to a turnover. This is who's going to make it. So this to me, this is what's going to happen here. There's going to be a turnover. There's going to be when we look back, if that possession didn't happen.
So I have an issue because I always feel like I find a coach that I don't like.
You do a lot, don't you?
You know, like
he's a coach hunter.
The Oregon
or
guy.
Is it hater? Hunter, hater, hater, hunter.
Well, I think it. You know what I think it stems from?
He hunts to hate.
I think it stems from having some bad coaches growing up.
You know something that's interesting?
And when you see a guy that reminds you of a bad coach, it gets under your skin because you're like, I remember having a fucking coach like you that was just a dick for no reason. And look, I don't know any of these guys, right? I don't know what they're really like.
But if you see something
I think
that reminds you of...
and obviously, look, I never played on high level of sports, but just had coaches that were dicks sometimes. And when I see a guy who comes across as a dick, I immediately just sour on him. Yeah. And Ryan Day's one of those kind of guys.
Ryan Day he's the reason I don't like Ohio State.
Right.
Let me clear it. Maybe I should have cleared this up with Joel and Creekmore before. Because if you think about it, do you know who the Patriots, Terry Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Ohio State?
Oh, well, dude, all the players that come out of there are great.
So I don't hate the school per se.
C.J. Stroud?
But C.J. is a stud. I love C.J. Stroud. I love his game. I love everything about it. The coach on this team is the reason he sours me. I just can't, and I'm with you on this. I don't like him. But the thing is, they're little by a hair better than this team. Now, here's the other elephant in the room. This game is in Texas. Here's the problem.
Think that's enough to push them?
Well, the problem is Ohio State is getting their 5.5 point favorite. I don't.
Usually accurate in a way.
I don't know. This is what something.
You think that's a mistake?
I just think somebody knows something that we don't, because that should be an even game.
Like a 2-point?
Even or a gentleman's 3 for Texas.
Yeah. Oh, for Texas.
It's in Texas, basically. It's a home game. It's in Jerry's World. I can promise you there'll be more Texas fans at this game than at Ohio State.
Well, Ohio State travels well, though.
They do, but this is the entire state of Texas we're talking about. And that's Jerry's World. That's a 100,000-seat stadium. There's going to be more Texas fans in there than Ohio State. You'll hear their fans. He's right. They travel well. But don't think for a second they're going to outshout that crowd. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. And we'll see how good Ohio State really is. I think they're going to win this game, but it's going to take a chunk out of them.
So that's Friday?
That's Friday.
Oh, nice.
But it's going
to snow Friday night.
Yeah.
Watch that.
We could. We certainly could. Anyway, those are the picks. If you disagree or you tell us what your picks are in the pick segment there in the comment section down there below. We're going to take a break. Segment 2, we are going to pick the wild card weekend.
Yes.
We got to talk here. This is getting more interesting by the day. It is what's going on with Mr. Eagle there.
He practiced today.
He practiced. We're going to talk about
they said
that.
he looked sharp.
So we're going to talk about this.
Dude, if he doesn't play, they're
Save
done.
it. Segment 2 coming right up. Save it.
Can he pick it?
Yep.